Growing plants isn't a linear trajectory. There's ups and downs, and usually they correspond with the seasons. Over here in Sydney, Australia, we are about to finish winter, which means that right now my plants aren't looking their best. But those are also times I want to share with you, because I want to be really transparent and honest with you about what it's like to have so many plants, and it's unrealistic to expect that all of my plants are thriving all the time. So today we're basically looking at my collection when it's at its absolute worst. My plants have definitely suffered a little bit over the last 3 to 4 months. They also haven't really grown that much over the last 3 and 4 months. We've also had a bunch of pest issues. So things aren't looking their best, but it doesn't mean that they're not nice. So let's get started. Hey everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's just start in the living room, huh? Alrighty, in case you haven't seen any of my tours before, I actually do one of these every season, but this is my garden, which is north facing. Keep in mind, I'm in the southern hemisphere, so everything is switched. Now over here, I've got my Alocasia gargaena. That will go back outside during spring, but it's actually been doing quite well over here in winter. But you can see that winter leaves are definitely significantly smaller than some of the leaves it grew outside over spring. But that is also okay. At least it's still growing. It is actually one of the plants that has deteriorated the least over winter. So I'm quite happy with that. And look at that, it's also sending out lots and lots of pups down here. So I can definitely separate some of these out in the coming spring. Next to that, I've got my Philodendron Jose Bueno. It's actually also done quite well, especially in the root department. And it's grown one new leaf that is unfortunately pointing the wrong direction, but that's okay. Now these plants over here all just rely on natural light, but in winter the sun is quite low, so this actually receives quite a lot of natural light when it's sunny. Over here is my variegated Adansonii, and it's actually grown super nicely. It's not really sizing up. You can see that this was kind of like the last summer leaf. It's definitely going down in size, could also be a result of the higher variegation, but the leaves just look super beautiful, and the variegation is really coming through. So I'm very happy with that. And over here I've got my Sharonii. You can see she really wants to face the light. She grew all of these big leaves in my garden over the growing season. And all she's doing right now, I mean, there is a new calathea over here, and the calathea is definitely expanding, but it just kind of stopped growing. But that's okay. I just don't want it to deteriorate. So she's overwintering in here, but as soon as it gets warm enough, I will move her outside because she's quite large and takes up quite a lot of space. And obviously was thriving out there last year. Hello, baby. It's my little baby. Hello. Yeah, it's boring. It's so dark and cold outside, huh? We want summer back. Alrighty. I mean, it is quite an overcast day, but you should be able to see the light from the windows reaching very deep into the room this time of the year. On the other side, over here, supported by a Mother Life Spectrum, and I've always got them linked in the description with a little discount code as well, is my El Salvador. Suffered a little bit, but that's okay. I actually just recently moved her here, so all of the leaves are slowly starting to point forward towards the light. Used to be positioned different. This actually looks like thrips, so I might have to investigate. And my big Adansonii over here, subspecies Laniata, is still growing, as you can see over here. But I've had to cut off a lot of damage. A lot of these leaves, I just cut off the yellow bits. I go through this every winter though. She does not like winter at all. So I think in spring I'm gonna give her a fundamental reset again. And then over here, I've got my Syngonium Frosted Heart, which I actually really desperately need to put an extension on. But I'm not really aiming for maturity with this plant, so I'm not really like too ambitious with it, but I've got to do something about it. All right, let me quickly pan through. This is kind of the dining part area of my living room. And also keep in mind that my plant arrangements actually change all the time. I don't think you've seen this specific iteration yet, because the plants change all the time. So I constantly rearrange, it's part of the hobby. And this time of the year, I have by far the most plants inside. In spring, a lot of these plants will move into the garden and into the greenhouse, and then it will look significantly less cluttered. I actually think there's too many plants here, but it still somewhat looks good, right? Over here is my DIY plant stand. I don't know if you've seen this episode where I made them. And sorry if it's a bit flickering over here. That is unfortunate. It doesn't flicker in real life. It's something to do with the frame rate. Here's my Scindapsus argyraeus. I just think it looks so stunning and such low effort. Over here, my Oxalis triangularis is absolutely loving this light from my Soltech Aspects, also linked in the description. This one, I never remember the name. I got a little bit too close to the grow light over here. Come on, stop flickering. Why does it not? There you go, that's better. Nope, not better. Sorry for the flicker. Okay, there you go. I need to be further away for it to not flicker. And then I've put a begonia here as well. I haven't really figured out this plant stand yet and what exact plants I want to put in there, but see how we go. Work in progress. Over here is my cuprea. She's looking lush as ever. I should probably turn her around. I think the other side is looking a little lusher, but that's okay. What I've done here is, look at this, like it is such a mess. I'm air layering this plant at the moment, and it's going to get a huge chop in spring. So see what we can do with this plant. It is just so messy in there at the moment. Have a look. I got to do something about it, but she's still so happy. So yeah, and I think she looks good here. All right, next to that, I've got a few more alocasias, because over here with the light coming from above, I figured let's have displays that work in that way as well, like the alocasias, the oxalis, the scindapsus, right? They all want light to come from above, whereas these plants over here, for example, now you can really see the natural light hitting it. The light is coming from one side, so I've got a nice display side. Light is coming from the front, so I have a nice display side, right? So I always use light to create nice displays. So over here, light coming from above, so I'm choosing plants that want light from above, like this Alocasia Jacqueline, for example. It's kind of cute. And then this one is Alocasia Alocasia Adorabatic. I had crazy aphids on this. I sprayed it yesterday. I should probably spray it again. I should probably also not have it in the middle of all the other plants, but YOLO. My Mandula Pothos just recently got a chop, so I figured I'll put her here. I think she just looks so good. I'm really excited about this plant. And I'm also excited to get away from this flickering light. And this is going to be a bit harder to get to, but this is my Thai constellation. Sorry, I do not want to move her out because she's too big, but she just relies on natural light from this east-facing window, so sunrise over here. And I've also moved my variegated Milano over here. Suffering. I don't want to talk about it much more. She's definitely suffering, not liking winter, but YOLO. Look at this beautiful leaf here though. Nice. Now, what I can show you on the Thai constellation though is that it is thoroughly rooting into the pole, right? So very much establishing a nice root system over here. And then next to the Thai, also just relying on natural light, is the Monstera albo variegata. What I don't like about this is that obviously this half gets natural light from here. So this side of all of these leaves face this way. Whereas then over here I've got another Soltech light which is supplementing this part of the plant kind of. So the plant kind of has this really big spread. I don't like that, but I can't really come up with a better position for it at the moment. So it is what it is. Now this is somewhat new. I switched this around. My Alocasia cuprea used to be here. But these two, the Florida Beauty and the Florida Ghost, were growing too large. They used to be here. Let me show you. The plant grew so tall that it touched the grow light and the grow light burned it. So you can really see the burn marks. You can even see how it was folded up when it was burned. So yeah, it physically made contact with the light, which then burned it. So obviously I know that, okay, that's not good, but I also know, well, it's going to get worse and worse and worse with the next leaf and so on. So I had to move them to the ground so that the light isn't so close. So that's why I switched that around recently, and I really, really love this display over here. So there's two plants. This is my Florida Beauty with the burnt leaf. There's like leaves like this, and then over here is my Florida Ghost, pushing out some leaves over here. It's definitely getting a little ghostier than before. Over here it's more minty, but it's not super, super ghosty. I don't know what I'm doing wrong to not get the white leaves. I thought light exposure would make them white, but I can't give it any more light because it's going to burn if I give it any more. I'm not too sure. If anybody knows why my Florida Ghost isn't that white, please let me know. Also, I have one with moss and one with airwood mix, and I have to say that moss is so much easier to water and retains water so much better. But yeah, overall I really like having them next to each other over here. It just makes it look so good, and the colors, the red petioles, the green and the yellows, just really, really pop under this Soltech grow light as well. I mean, look at this petiole. So yeah, that's kind of the dining area. You know what, let me just quickly move this over so I remember. Okay. Then next to the dining area over here, we've got, and you can tell an ongoing theme is supplementing with grow lights. This is the Sunbulb, an Australian company, but also distributes in the UK. So I'll link that in the description as well. You also have a discount code. So over here we've got the bottom part of my mandula. That's been with me for a long time now. I've trailed it up and down many times. They're starting their journey back up very soon. Love it. Not aiming for maturity over here because you saw the other one already that was mature. And then over here is my Anthurium medium silver. You can see the silver is much more dominant down here in these leaves. It actually is getting too much light. Have a look at these leaves on the right that are much closer to the light. They are very much sun stressed. Here you can even see a little bit, I don't know if that's visible anymore, you can see where the darker patches are. This is actually where the previous leaf was shading it. So it is getting too much light, but I don't really have any other position for it right now, and that's okay. It's going to move into the greenhouse in about a month's time again. And over here I'm trying to grow my Cissus discolor up my railing, and it is actually going quite well, but I'm not too sure how I like this look. I want it to look lusher, so I think I need to start cutting so that it branches out. I don't just want to have one long vine. This is not the look that I'm kind of aiming for. So I somewhat regret putting it there, but YOLO. And over here is my Scindapsus Silver Lady, I think. It's just kind of doing its thing. I think I'll need to start trailing it back up a little bit. I don't like them to be too leggy. If you look at this one over here, what I do, I just keep trailing them back up and so on. Alrighty, that's the living area. It is actually a very, very dark area. I get a little bit of sunrise over here, but mainly during summer, not so much during winter. Yes, right now you can see, and there's a tripod that I filmed on earlier, you can see that the sun is coming in. That's okay, fair enough, you know, but we don't get that much sun in winter in the first place, not that many sunlight hours. So I heavily supplement with lights. I've got the Sunbulb, the mother, and the Soltech ones. Soltech is my recommendation if you're in the States. Sunbulb is my recommendation if you're in Australia. And then the mother lights are my recommendation if you want vertical lights coming from the front rather than above. And yeah, that is my little living and dining area. And look at that, I've got some flowers to kind of manifest that it's spring soon, hopefully. I do love flowers actually. Alrighty, then over here is my mother forest. So the structure in itself is called the forest, and I've got a full review on this as well. Now I am converting this into my Moranta stand, and I really, really love this idea. The Morantas just need to grow a little bit more. I was told this one is called Cat's Moustache, which, how cute is that? Then over here is a nice variegated one. Over here is the silver band. I love that when they get a little sun stressed and come out as like purplish like that. Red vine over here, one of my all-time favorites. Lemon lime, also one of my all-time favorites, but I severely dehydrated that by accident and it is in recovery stage, but it's fine. And then I said Pothos and Joy over here. Let's ignore that one. But yeah, I really want to just fill this whole stand with different Moranta varieties. Like, don't you think that just looks so cool? They just need to grow a little bit more. However, spider mite infestations. I have had much better success growing my Morantas outdoors, where spider mites don't seem to be such an issue, but it is what it is. And over here is my Calathea mosaica. It's also seen better days. I think this one had thrips. Most things in my collection had thrips at some stage. Alrighty. And then we're going into the office. Bradley, let me turn off the heater so it's not so loud. That is Bradley's little table over here. He likes to sit there and look out onto the street, and he is such an attraction. There's so many of my neighbors that walk past and stop and wave at him or take photos of him and so on. It's very cute. Anyway, this is my office. This is obviously where all of the really, really nice plants are. So let's quickly go through them. Over here, I've got my philodendron gigas. Definitely, you can see much longer internodal spacing. Oh, I need to water this. Okay, I'll show you something. One of my biggest plant tips is always be prepared, always be ready, don't procrastinate. So I've always got water bottles handy. Oh, hang on, it's hard to do that with one hand, and it's hard to do that with my wrong hand as well. Come on already. Should be fine, but when I see something, I like to do it straight away instead of procrastinating. Yes, my darling, what are you seeing? What's out there? What? Did you see a bush turkey? Was there a bush turkey? Yeah? Okay. Yes, okay, you keep looking, yeah? Right, Philodendron Philodendron glorious. You should have seen a video of this recently, getting a big chop. It's looking very happy after the chop. You can see lots of root growth coming in here, so yeah, can't complain. And this is my Esmeraldense. It has grown one leaf over winter, but it is a huge leaf. So I'm very, very happy with that. Hidden somewhere over there, you can hardly see it, is an El Choco. And I do not want to talk about the El Choco with you today because I'm pissed off. We can talk about the Splendid though, because I like the Splendid. This is its winter leaf. It's not really smaller, not really any change. In winter it just grows less leaves, you know what I mean, less frequently, but it still drops older leaves. So overall, the plant at large isn't looking as good in winter as it is in summer. But in this room overall, it's not so bad. It's just so stunning. Look at this sheen. Look at the little red sinus, the red backs, such a stunner. And down here we've got my Patriciae, also a stunning plant. Had to cut one leaf off that was severely damaged while I was in Thailand when it was unfurling. I think it had some rot issues, and to be honest, I see this over here on the newest leaf starting to happen again. See here the brown one. So I'm thinking I'm probably providing it with too much water at the moment. Yeah, I'm probably being a little too liberal with my watering, but it is what it is. Milano has suffered severely last year through really, really bad spider mites. You can still see the previous spider mite damage, and obviously these old leaves are going really yellow. That's okay. I'm not aiming at keeping these old leaves alive for a long time. But I also had to chop it over here, and now it reshot. But look at how thick the new stem is on that reshoot. So it is reshooting really, really well. It's getting really thick. Nice new leaf unfurling. And it is growing nice leaves. Maybe a little bit sun stressed. But that's okay. It's growing at least. Maybe a little sun stressed. Maybe I can move it around a little bit. I do need to. It's fine. But you can tell that this leaf that is closer to the lights, by the way, again, two mother life spectrums over here. The one that's closer to the light, you can see all of the sun stress, the yellow bits kind of, whereas the one in the back over here that's not exposed to that much light is much darker. And I suppose that's what you want from a Milano. So I need to see what I can do about this, if I maybe switch that around with the Splendid or something like that, or maybe if I can move the light a little bit further back. A lot of these velvets don't want too much bright light. You can very much see the big gap that the Glorious has left since the chop. Oh, and you can see some water bubbles are now releasing as well. So it's working, just very slow. And then next to that is my big Verrucosum. I think this was the newest leaf. Not sure what happened here, but you know, plants aren't perfect. Look at the red backs, so beautiful. And it's growing so well with a super thick cataphil rooting into the pot. Oh. No, still moist, rooting into the pole. So really happy. Verrucosums are cool climate cloud forest plants, so they usually like winter actually. But yeah, look at that. It's looking so good. But the bottom is looking a little bit bare. And then one other plant is hiding over here. It's a Sodiroy. I'm trying to grow it juvenile, but it is kind of trying to mature for me yet again. Got a whole video coming on this one. It's not looking too good. I also need to find out what these markings are. I think these are just all of the sugars. See how it produces all of these extra floral nectaries? Yeah, and when they're dry, they just create these markings. But that's all right. Just visual damage. Over here is my Verrucosum Titanium, which is a Serpent's Verrucosum hybrid. Have a look at this beautiful sheen of this leaf. And super beautiful red backs, hairy petioles, and a new one unfurling. So that is the first leaf in winter, but I also have chopped it over here already in preparation for a chop and extend. And you can see that I chopped that a while ago because it already had time to reshoot over here. So soon I'll be able to do something with it. Again, one of these plants where some of the light comes from here. So these leaves are pointing this way. The other half gets light from the window. So looking at it front on, it actually looks super bare. So this is not the position for this plant, but in winter, I'm a little bit pushed for space. So I gotta do, that is kind of the best I can do. All right, let me get the tripod so I can show you these other plants because I need to move them out with both of my hands. I'm filming on my phone, so I don't have a viewfinder. So I hope everything will be fine. Let me just check. Yeah, you can see there's a few older leaves down here going yellow. That's okay. It's also just age. But this is my Monstera escalador. Good. New leaf that just unfurled over here. This is also a winter leaf, so you can really see that this plant is maturing really, really nicely, despite winter, and despite it just getting light from a south-facing window. Again, I'm in the southern hemisphere, so south is the worst exposure. I get no direct sun through this window whatsoever this time of the year. In summer a little bit during sunset, but this time of the year I get hardly any light coming through here, so it's actually a surprise to me as well that it matures so nicely, because usually Monsteras I like to give a little bit more light to, and usually I don't see much maturity over winter for these, but I'll take it. Over here I've got another Verrucosum. This one is more lush Verrucosum. It's an offspring from this one. I'm not aiming for maturity, I'm just aiming for volume over here. And I mean, it is looking good, but you can see quite a lot of leaf damage. I actually need to investigate if it has spider mites. It doesn't look like spider mites. I think it could just be a little bit too much water provision. I think I have been too liberal with my watering this winter. Maybe not to the extent that it's causing root rot, but to the extent that it's at the very least causing some cosmetic issues. But as I mentioned, they're just cosmetic, right? So overall, still very nice. And I've got a full video on this coming as well. And then over here, I've got my Oblique. It's his first year outside of the IKEA cabinet. And it's growing well, very steady, very slowly. There's like, I don't know, 10 plants or so on here by now. So I get lots and lots of leaves. I also have ferns everywhere. I don't know, all of my moss poles start growing ferns. It's so cute. So yeah, it's growing like this. Is a nice, more mature leaf over here. So yeah, very happy with this. Actually, I haven't seen it. I always look at it from the back. It's looking pretty good, I think. Again, just natural light from a south-facing window over here. And the bits where it's gotten a little bit too much light, the brown bits over here, that's when it was still in the IKEA cabinet. It was pushing against the door, and there's a light at the door. So yeah, that's why I had to move it out. And then probably one of the biggest surprises over winter is my Alocasia Friedeck. It is still looking good. It's hardly dropped any leaves. It's actually even actively growing new leaves. Like this one is a brand new leaf over here. There's a new leaf unfurling over here. So it is actually growing brand new leaves. It's looking super, super good. It is establishing a super, super healthy large root system in this vase over here. And this could also be watered tomorrow. But yeah, really, really happy about the progress of my Friedeck. And I was a little bit concerned about it because again, it just gets natural light from a south-facing window, and it has been in that position for almost a full year now. But the last 3 to 4 months were the worst part of that year, right? And so it's never been exposed to the bad conditions over that year. And you know, alocasias can easily go dormant over winter, don't like cold temperatures and so on. So I was a little bit concerned that maybe all of the beautiful progress that I made with this plant over the course of spring and summer will be ruined by winter, but so far so good. I'm glad that I didn't move it. I just decided let's just keep it where it is and see if it's okay, and so far it's been very much okay with it. So overall in this room, I think I experienced the least damage during winter because I'm being pretty diligent with heating it. I have a Dyson fan over here that I just set to a specific temperatures. I set it to 24, but it doesn't actually get to 24. It's usually between like 20 to 22 in here. I don't have it on during the night. So in the morning it can go down to like 16 or so, but overall like there's no crazy fluctuations in here. I obviously heavily supplement with the lights as well. And I'm pretty diligent with these plants as well. These are obviously my favorite plants. So I can't really complain. I'm not getting like crazy growth, definitely not super speedy growth, but the plants aren't suffering in the first place, right? And ultimately winter is only 3 to 4 months. So I really only need to get my plants through 3 or 4 months before I can see active growth yet again. But I think there are a few things that I can improve on. I can improve on the Milano, I can improve on the titanium over here, but you know, that is plant care. Like it's not about having an end result, because guess what? There's never going to be an end result because plants keep changing. Let's continue. Alrighty, I totally forgot about the IKEA cabinet, so let's do that now. Whoop. My Spiritus Sancti. I am not too sure what all of these little dots are, but I had to treat it for thrips. I don't think this is the... So for thrips I use Contender spray, or Confidor spray, Contender. I think it used to be Confidor, now Contender. I don't think this is that. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but maybe I should give it a wipe. But yeah, overall it is... You can see this is the thrips damage up here. That you can definitely see. Overall, I need to move it out of the IKEA cabinet. It is not getting enough light because it is pushing so far up against the glass. The light is obviously coming from here, like it would get more light here, right? But I need to move it out. I just don't want to do it during winter. So, gotta stay patient. But there's a full video on this plant coming soon. My Villanora, you can see it's also getting a little bit yellowish, so I think there was also some thrips issues. What is this? I also had aphids in this IKEA cabinet, and I noticed way too late. So everything has suffered a little bit in here. Yep, suffered. It's a Discoria discolor propagation I'm trying out. Over here, no, it's getting a fungal issue. No, why are you getting fungal? This is a new unicorn that I added to my collection. It is a Alocasia Porte Variegata from an Australian store. I'll link their Instagram on screen. And yeah, I'm really excited to grow this, but I also had aphids in here and I'm worried that everything has aphids, but we'll find out. Over here is maybe I need to do another treatment. Over here is a little seedling, and you can see that newest leaf over here. Yeah, it was eaten up by aphids. That's why it's so curled up. So, yeah, and the other seedlings completely died. Oopsie. Some Milano propagations. I think this is a Jacqueline. I think. I can't even remember what this stump is. A crazy rubbish. Wow, this looks terrible. This is a Bilinum. Again, you can see this leaf is a little bit deformed, probably had some aphids. I treated all of them. I used the same contender spray. Here you can see the aphids. See all of these little dots? I think that was all aphids. See this deformation? That was aphids. But beautiful variegation on this plant. So nice. And I've got a full plant spotlight on this plant coming soon as well. Veitchii over here doing okay. A little dragon scale over here. Again, these white dots, you can see that was aphids damage. A domesticum over here that I'm propagating, and it's actually working. That's good. And over here I've got a little, I think this was a fried egg. Doesn't look velvet yet, but I think so. And over here my variegated Anthurium doing nothing still. It's year 4 of doing nothing. Great. Anyway, so overall, not super successful in my IKEA cabinet this year. But I think it has nothing to do with the conditions. The conditions in there are usually pretty good. It had everything to do with me being negligent and not even realizing that everything had aphids for weeks. Okay, why don't we head upstairs, we wrap up everything inside before we're looking at the real carnage, which is the outdoors. Alrighty, upstairs, Anthurium room. Again, 2 mother life spectrums over here. Well, technically they're 4. They're 2 extended ones, so I stacked them on top of each other. That's how they're designed. And this is my wall of Anthuriums, and they're doing okay. I hardly heat this room, but because I heat downstairs, hot air rises, so it does get heated as well. But right now, for example, 18 degrees. They would probably prefer 21, 22. It's okay. 75% humidity, but yesterday, for example, it was 50. But overall, winter is when we receive the most rainfall. So during winter, I'm never concerned about humidity. I'm mainly concerned about lack of light and temperatures, because it can get cold. We talk about that when we get to the garden. But by now you know that I am not shy supplementing light. Let's have a look at some of these plants. Clavinurium, still growing, but never really did amazingly for me. This is one of my favorites. It's a Magnificum Forgetia. You can see I may have trimmed the edges a little bit. This plant always does terribly for me in winter, and in summer I put it back out in my greenhouse and then it thrives all summer long. I put it back in here over winter, it does terribly. So maybe I should learn from that and do something differently, but sort of YOLO. Magnificum Queen hybrid over here, super dark, super beautiful. This was a winter leaf, and you can also see that I had thrips everywhere in here. Luxuriance, looking good. Got a second inflow on the way over here. I do think this inflow will be successful. It has not, I mean, it has definitely inflated and grown heaps over the last few months. And there's even a new leaf coming over here as well. Due for a repot, but I'm happy to wait another month or so. The strappy one is a Vitarifolium. Not much to say, it just exists. Crazy rubbish over here. It's doing nothing over winter. The queen is looking so sad, at least this leaf is looking super sad, but then it has this beautiful leaf over here, and now unfurling a beautiful new leaf as well as an inflow. So I think she's finally happy again. This is a Crystallinum hybrid. No, yes, Crystallinum hybrid. A puppy hybrid over here. You can see old leaves are on the way out. But there is a new leaf coming in the back over here. Now what I'm going to do with a leaf like that, have a look. I'm going to twist this pot around, and eventually this petiole is going to be longer and longer and longer, and I'm going to aim to have the petiole kind of here, come out here. don't want to do it just yet. Okay, I can't do it just yet because the petiole isn't long enough. But I'll move this out. I want the petiole to come here, and then I can twist the pot back, and then the petiole is basically going to be twisted in position. So I use the structure of the shelf to twist these leaves in position. See this here, how then the petiole is going to make a little dint? Yeah. Over here, I'm using the top of the shelf to push them into position. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Over here, look, I'm using the shelf to just push the leaves to where I want them to be, so that I have one nice display side. My Delta Force, you should have seen a full spotlight on this plant as well. Not doing its absolute best over winter, but that's okay. Another crazy rubbish over here. This is the newest leaf. Definitely a little reduction in leaf size compared to the summer ones, but it's still growing, which is good. And this one is also growing a new leaf here. Yay! Yep, still moist. A Clarinervium hybrid over here with a white sinus, also growing a new leaf. This one is actually the same hybrid as this one, but looks very different, right? Anyway, suppose that's the good thing about growing from seed, you get some variety. Another crazy rubbish over here, and this one is a Magnificum hybrid. Again, winter leaf on the way out. That's okay, I'll chop that soon. And a Serenoi over here, also with a new leaf. So with my Anthuriums, I can definitely tell that we're nearing the end of winter because I'm seeing more active growth now than I have seen over the last 2 to 3 months, which is good because I have still been chopping off leaves because, as you can see, they're getting a little bit uglier. I've also been chopping off edges of leaves, and I would love to chop a few more leaves. Not all of these leaves are really that pretty, but I think I want a few more leaves to grow before I chop off more leaves. Over here, I've got just 2 plants supported by a south-facing light, so just natural light. Plaumannii, I purposely give it a little light so that it stays juvenile. And a Vercoisum over here that I'm kind of growing as a lush trailing display. So again, I'm purposely keeping it juvenile, so just a little bit of south-facing light is doing just fine for these 2. Happy days. Alrighty, so that's the bedroom. Let's go upstairs into the rescue section. Please excuse the laundry. It rains so much over here in Sydney. This is the only place I can dry my laundry. Everything over here, everything you see had thrips, okay? Everything. So I've really suffered this winter, but it's okay. You know, we'll overcome it. A Hamalomina over here. Oh my god, this one. Look at this, it has thrips right now. Can you see them walking around there? There. Oh, fuck off. Oh, okay, I'll do another round of treatment for all of them tomorrow. Here is my bag of dubia, trying to propagate that. My crazy rubbish, that just snapped off. You can see how they started sucking on the leaf, deforming the leaf. So it's not a bad thing that I, by accident, just snapped it, because it's gonna grow up to be ugly anyway. Let's not talk about this. Here again, classic thrips damage. At least I can show you what thrips damage looks like. That's really good to know. I don't even know. I think this one doesn't even have... I think this is just naturally deformed. It hates me, this plant. It really, really hates me, this plant. Anyway, is what it is. Here again, thrips damage. On this one, you can very clearly see that. So you can tell I haven't been all too successful with my rescue section this year. And honestly, I can't wait to just put them all into the garden and let Mother Nature decide. This one is the crazy rubbish that I put together for my treasure hunt. You can see hundreds of thrips on this fucking leaf. They have no chill this winter. And over here is a box of seedlings. I showed you the one seedling that survived in my IKEA cabinet. Looks like this had also some pest issues. I mean, I'm not surprised. They're everywhere, right? Once they're here, they're here. Sometimes I just want to give up. Okay, cute. On the other side, we've got my Pinati Patita suffering. My bottom part of the Milano. suffering. My little El Choco, suffering a little bit, not too bad. My Rugosum, suffering a teeny tiny bit. Sorry, I can't really back up more because I'm here. You can see again, thrips damage over here. And here's a cutting of my Majestic that I'm trying to recover. Here's a Veitchii, that's actually doing quite well. Oh, let's not talk about this one. Here's the bottom part of the... Oh my god, look at the aphids on here. Oh my goodness. That's the bottom part of, of the nice Scindapsus that I showed you downstairs. And then over here is an Aglaonema. Look at them. Okay, well I know what I have to do later. Because it's in my rescue section, I only go there to put up my laundry. It's much easier to kind of ignore this issue. And out of sight, out of mind. Let's move on. Let's go. I was about to say let's move on to some better news, but we're actually about to head to the garden, which is going to be worse news. So brace yourself. Alrighty, here we go into the garden. It is so nice that it's finally a dry and sunny day. We've had crazy rains. Yeah, and it was quite cold. Cold and wet is never a good combination, but it is the second year in this garden, the third year having a garden. So majority of these plants are used to colder winter temperatures, but this year has been colder than before. But yeah, let's have a look. Let's mainly focus on the aeroids. Let's not address the palms really. This is my Monstera deliciosa Brazil form, growing well. Still coming out with the new root here, and I can't see any visual damage at all on this plant, so very happy with that. This is my Syngonium styamachii, and here you can really see cold damage to these older leaves. And this new leaf, for example, has been unfurling for 2.5 months now. Epipremnum pinnadum, this was already out here last year. Now, these newest leaves actually look quite good. But down here we had a lot of leaves just rotting off. But I think they're leaves from like the previous season, and that's why they might have been saying goodbye. But yeah, this year it hasn't been doing too well. The El Salvador over here, kind of doing nothing, but that's also okay. The Dubia is doing absolutely nothing. It's not growing, but it keeps dropping older leaves. So not happy at all about this, but yeah, it is what it is. Siltepecana is dropping a lot of leaves this year in winter over here, which is weird because it's the second year, and last year it had no damage. But I'm pretty sure these damaged leaves are the years from, like, there's already their second winter, right? Whereas these leaves that are healthy still, they're the newer leaves. So I think overall it can handle these temperatures, just not for 2 years in a row. Over here I've got a little pothos. You can see that they're just reshooting over here. No active growth yet. And my Deliciosa over here. This was a new leaf that grew over winter. Definitely smaller than the previous one. I can also see quite a bit of damage on older leaves due to the conditions. See, you can definitely see this is fungal. Fungal issues are encouraged by cold and wet conditions. Now, to my surprise, the Adansonii, this is the bottom part of the big Adansonii I showed you inside, did terribly out here. It's its first year out here, but it's doing absolutely terrible. Look at all of the leaves that are dropped at the bottom over here already, and all of these leaves will go. Like, you can already see the damage. It's just a matter of time until the plant starts fully boarding them. I shouldn't actually rip them off because they can protect the plant a little bit, but I hate looking at my failures. And over here is my Canna Cleopatra, and it's already coming back out of dormancy again. Yay! My Regal Shields, I'm surprised it's alive, but I gotta do something about it. Look at this mess. Like, there's so much stem and bits sticking out, but hardly any leaves. So I think I'm gonna completely cut this back, propagate the stem in multiple bits, or something like that. I don't know, because this is not it. The Strelitzia actually has a new leaf over here, which is great. And then overall, I might just skip. I kind of might have just pan through the garden bed instead of pointing out every single one. You can see, I mean, there's even some crawlers like a Dean McDowell over here. They're still alive. I just am not seeing any active growth, but I'm also not seeing like death. So it's doing kind of okay, to be honest. The ones that I planted in the ground, like the garden bed here, seems to be doing better than potted plants like these ones over here. My Bismarck palm has done actually quite well. This is the second new leaf this winter, and it didn't grow any new leaves like for the full year beforehand. So I'm happy about that. And then over here, the big three, I like to call them, my colocasia is still holding on well. It's not growing new leaves, but it's not. Hang on, it is growing a new leaf over there. Sorry, I'll take everything back. That is cute. So yeah, I'll take everything back. It's growing, it's happy, all of that. Thermatophyllum bipinnatifidum also looks quite happy, but I think it will need a repot to get more leaves out of this. And the banana is looking very unhappy, but I know it's mainly mechanical damage based on heavy winds. I'm not worried about it being like super unhappy, and I know in spring, as soon as it gets warmer again, it will probably give me a new leaf every week or every 2 weeks. There's a smaller one down here that's doing much better because it's more sheltered from the wind. More garden bed stuff. Even the Moranta is still happy. I've got these climbing up the fence, they're still somewhat happy. Got some alocasias left here. They haven't even all gone dormant yet, so that's really good. So overall things are kind of happy-ish. Actually, that's the black velvet, that's the green velvet. Not happy at all, huh? Now in the greenhouse, I do store a bunch of aeroid mix and so on in the greenhouse over winter, just why not. Things aren't looking too good in here. Now it's not heated. The only thing that the greenhouse has got going for itself is I can control moisture. So wet and cold is a bad combination, but it's still exposed to cold temperatures, and you can really see this. The Coccineanum is not happy, super yellow leaves, but I don't think to the extent where it will suffer. It will just drop the old leaves, and then I just need new leaves in spring. The Ring of Fire, however, has started dropping all of its leaves. Can you see this? The petiole where it inserts, it just rots away. And one morning I came in here and there was just like a bunch of leaves just lying on the floor like that. Like, look at that. I'm not applying much pressure. So this is all rot, and I think it's a little bit too late for me to do anything about it. I will not change its position. I just hope that the rot won't spread to the stem, and I hope it can come back in spring. But that is definitely a sad one. It probably dropped about 20 leaves over the last week. Sheza, that's the bottom part of the top part. Again, you can see fungal issues making the petioles just snap off of the stems, making the stems a bit mushy. Not good. Not good at all. Again, here, fungal issues. Even though I'm somewhat conservative with the watering in here. I've probably watered 3 times over the whole winter. Syngonium's doing well though. This one's the Monstera sapinata, doing well. This one is Monstera Indonesian marble. The existing leaves are all doing terribly. Again, the same happened. A lot of these leaves just kind of snapped off. But before winter hit, I already cut almost between every single node. So all of these are new shoots. So hopefully they won't rot away, and hopefully in spring I'll have lots and lots of small plants on here instead. Deliciosa doing well in here. Ugh. Yeah, not doing well, quite clearly. Tenue, by the way. Not doing well at all. Cupria doing well. And the Marcianum also doing exceptionally well, even growing a new leaf over here. Carnivorous plant is not doing all too well overall. You can definitely see a bit of rot every now and then, but there are new shoots. See, new shoot here, a new shoot here. So, a new shoot here. So I reckon it will be really happy in spring, and I just need to wait for that. and little stingray actually growing. Yeah, overall, look, I'm doing nothing for this greenhouse over winter, so I also can't expect all too much from this greenhouse over winter. It's definitely just the time of the year where I kind of just close the door, I hope for the best, and I try not to be too sad about it. Kentia palm over here is doing amazing, happy days. My bromelia display is doing quite well as well, sending out lots and lots of pups. Even the little orchid at the top is doing okay. Syngonium mojito is also doing well. Of course, there's always a few yellow leaves, and the Thermatophyllum xanadu is also looking very, very healthy. So happy days. Alright, so quick pan through the garden. At large, it still looks lush. At large, it looks healthy. But once we start having a look at all of these plants individually, we can definitely see quite a bit of winter damage. And as much as the worst part of winter is over, we've had the coldest temperatures in June and July. It's not getting as cold during the night anymore. A lot of the winter damage can kick in a little bit delayed. I'll still experience more damage even in September, but I should then also experience a little bit of new growth, hopefully. Alright, let's go back inside, because despite my shirt, it's actually not that warm. Alrighty, and that was the tour. I know it was quite fast, but honestly, this is not the time of the year where I'm super excited about my plants. I mean, there's still a few plants that I think look really nice, and a few plants that are growing as if nothing happened, but overall, this is probably the worst my collection has looked in at least 12 months, at least since last winter, and I suppose that's also expected. I think on top of that, this winter I definitely dropped the ball a little bit on pest treatment. I'm usually more proactive by cleaning my plants. Hello! I was a little bit lazy this year around that, and then I think I'm also a little bit slow in getting on top of it, but I'm not concerned still. I mean, I'm definitely a little bit pissed off, and I will definitely take the plants upstairs and give them all a nice spray of contender for the thrips and aphids. But yeah, overall, like, you know, the longer I've been doing this hobby for, the more I accept setbacks from either pests or conditions as a natural part of the hobby. And I don't beat myself up over it and so on, but it's obviously much harder to stay motivated and feel good about this hobby during these times of the year, where seemingly everything goes wrong and nothing goes right. But those periods but if it wasn't for those periods, you wouldn't be appreciating the good times quite as much and so on, right? That's ultimately it. If you want everything to go right, then plants is probably not the hobby for you to have, right? Because with plants, there are just challenges, and that will always be the case. Doesn't matter if you've been doing this for 1 year, 5 years, or 20 years, you will still encounter challenges. There will still be ups and downs. Yes, you're still subject to seasons, and yes, pests are inevitable. So as much as I don't enjoy this time of the year, I don't enjoy this state of my collection, and I know I'm bitching and moaning on a high level, because at the end of the day, I still have beautiful plants surrounding me. I accept them, and I deal with them, and hopefully overcome them, and I'm looking forward to better times ahead. And hopefully these videos make you feel better about yourself, and you realize that, you know what, everybody goes through this, everybody has issues with their plants, things don't always work out, and at the end of the day, I probably have significantly more time to spend on my plants than majority of you guys would have. So if it happens to me, then it can happen to anybody. Alrighty, we have some watering and some pest treatment to do, so let's do that. If you watched all the way, leave a comment down below and use your favorite winter emoji. Also make sure you give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I'm very much looking forward to spring, and hopefully you are looking forward to lots and lots of spring content coming up as well. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, please enjoy the warm part of the year, because it will be your turn to have winter soon. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, just hang in there, you know, 1 more month and we'll be in spring. Better times will come. We are almost there. Happy growing and take care. Bye.